Hello, zombie. Yes, it is me. I'm back. And last stream, it feels like it was ages ago, honestly. Can you give me a second? Yes, Telegram. I remember you. Okay, where am I? Yes. The game is a bit loud. Let me remedy this. Could be better now. Anyway, yeah, so hello. Apologies for skipping last week and Tuesday. There were a variety of reasons. Basically last week I didn't really feel good and was also a bit lazy, not gonna lie. Just the vibes were off all over the place. And this week, I mean, it's been Baldur's Gate. I've just been playing Baldur's Gate 3. It was very hard. Unfortunately, on Tuesday I kind of lost the battle and just decided to play Baldur's Gate, and today I won, and the streamer grind continues. Yeah, it feels a little bit late, I know, especially like playing Rotting Jam, since it's been like it got released very quickly, to my surprise. I think it's basically released on a second day after like the deadline, which was extended to Sunday, which also didn't help me actually. My map still turned out to be a mess. I submitted my map. Whether I've managed to finish it, we'll talk about that. I'll start with my map first, and I'll talk about all the stuff that happened with it. So yeah. Anyway, let's just jump right into it and pretend like nothing happened. So yeah, this is our starting map. I can kind of see how the gem released so quickly. it's relatively simple map. I will play on easy. I am just not in the mood at all for any challenge whatsoever. And here we have a nice decayed house. It's like an interesting choice of texture. Walls. Oh, and we fell. Okay. There's an axe. I kind of like the idea of this start map. How the seemingly, unassuming house that has this very sinister underground area. Always a nice theme, you can say. And find out how you can give the ranger to. The game is still a bit loud. It feels like on my end. Yeah, like that. Better, I think. Also really like frames that kind of look like the Portal frames that remind me of coffins. But yeah, I'm not doing that. So anyway, oh yeah, that's actually my map, right here. Crucible of Worlds. Yeah, okay, let's just jump right into it. Alright, here we are. So I've seen basically a bunch of streams, people, like not streams, just videos of people playing through my map, and it was it was extremely humbling experience, I would say. And another reminder that I probably should start doing at least some playtesting, external playtesting, before submitting the map. But alas. So anyway, here we start. A lot of the stuff that you've seen on my, the streams where I was working on the map, you won't see a lot of new stuff. Let's put it this way, because it is so funny, man. If I'm thinking, if this gem didn't get extended to Sunday, remember the initial deadline day was Friday, and oh boy, I was, yeah, considering the state of this map, if I was forced to submit it Friday, boy, it would be a disaster. What problems did the player have? Well, I'll talk about them as I will, as I'll play through the map. But there were definitely a bunch of them. A lot of them were, unfortunately, it's just the most annoying type of problem is basically me messing up with a setup of a trench broom. Yeah, but anyway, let's just start. Yeah, here actually it's interesting. Yeah, the fact that the start map gives you this upgraded Arcane Dimension Axe, and the upgraded Arcane Dimension Axe allows you basically kill zombies. That's the difference that I'm aware of. Maybe there are some also other two. Yeah, but anyway, so I basically strip the player of their shotgun, right, their default weapon, and to kind of just make them hopefully notice that they are holding an upgraded axe that they can use. Since it can quite easy, I think, to miss it, right, the moment if you had like a weapon from the beginning, that you don't have a normal axe. So that's the idea behind, and then I quickly give a bunch of weapons on the way out of this tower. Yeah, here we have a little reveal. There's a grenade launcher in front of the player. But when they pick up, a bunch of zombies right from the waters. Is it? Oh, wait a second. Map? I haven't played it from the gem package, but it feels brighter for some reason. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But yeah, anyway, so this is our entrance to the whole, open area of the map. Here, I give a suggestion with a ramp and even a little breadcrumb to go this way. Which lots of people that I've seen, they just ignore completely. Let's just pretend we actually take this route. Here we encounter our first gate, and the problem is that I was kind of just I assumed that it would be clear enough that this is a door, and it's also a door that requires a gold key. Or key card. Well, actually, for some players it was completely unobvious. It was completely unclear that this is a door, actually, and they didn't even try to touch it and realize that it was a gate. Just kept exploring further. But yeah, the clarity of the doors definitely could be improved. I basically just slapped. I think it's like a bunch of screens from one of the Macon textures. That's like the sci-fi one, I think. Can I send it? Yeah, listen, I'm not even going to talk about this stuff. A lot of the, like, for example, here, I believe, yeah, you can. I think this is the most egregious case of just Wheeze acting funky. But one of the kind of challenges and problems that I encountered very late at basically almost before the submission is that when the Wheeze, right, when I compile the map, for the most part, right, of the making the map, I basically skipped a full Wheeze, right? I didn't do like a normal Wheeze to make the compilation process very quick every time for playtesting and iteration stuff. So when I finally did this, very late, I did the compile with the normal Wheeze. Well, it turned out that actually, yeah, there are a lot of things that I did that I guess just the compile doesn't like. And it kind of makes sense. So remember, for example, one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to make every gameplay space tilted, right, under some angle, like the cathedral area, for example. Well, if you do that and you compile normally with a full whiz, the cathedral's just like entire chunks of geometry, they just disappear. Basically the same thing that we saw right now. So that didn't work completely, which I feel very it is annoying, but I get it. I get it why people don't do this usually, because it is very like the tools, and they're not handling stuff like that very well. Which I guess I could predict, but you know. So yeah, unfortunately everything is just every area that we actually play in, right? There's encounters, they all just normal straight 90 degrees and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is one of the quite I guess significant issues with this map. It's the whole like clarity of affordances, right? What is a door? Well, I guess you can say it's clear that relatively clear that it is a door, but it's definitely not clear necessarily that this is a golden door. And I won't be surprised if those players who actually bumped into it, they did it kind of, you know, automatically as the thing that they, you know, you do as a player. You bump into doors without even realizing. Actually, that might mean something. So that's one thing that could be improved for sure. Also, that's a checker texture that I completely forgot about. But let's pretend it was, since the whole map is basically like amalgamation of different like texture sets, let's pretend that it was intended. How could anyone not think that is a door? It has a ramp up to it. So one thing that I didn't really take into account is, I guess there are people, there are like type of players in Quake, I guess, in generally, who are just they move through the space, through the levels, just they constantly do the bunny hopping, you know, this kind of the player. They move quickly and they just, without sort of very little, you know, consideration for the space, they just kind of just follow the flow, you know, and move as fast as they can. And so this map, a lot of areas, a lot of encounters for this type of player, they just kind of fail. But we'll see more examples of it later. So yeah, here you have a bunch of options where to go. You can go this way and see the shotgun, and if you try to grab it, you'll be ambushed by this beautiful guy. Or you actually went this way first, as I did at the beginning. You could spot this guy before and ambush him. So there is that. A bunch of zombies to just fill the space. They can definitely aggro on you from distances that you don't even spot them, which is kind of as a problem with another my open map that I did before Approach of the Second Sun. You should be like very careful when you know scatter enemies across like such a big open space, because in Quake at least enemies will spot the player very quickly and far away from, so it can easily descend into this kind of like experience of all the enemies kind of like running across the map chasing the player. I think this map I managed to improve on that, but it's definitely possible to kind of fall into the situation too. Oh. More zombies riding from the waters. So there's another thing that I don't know if you remember my little joke that I set up. This tower that has a door on it, right? That requires gold key. So the idea was that the player encounters the tower, tries to open it up, see that they can't, it's a gate. Keep exploring, eventually acquiring gold key, right? And then when they acquire gold key, they come back. Hopefully they remember this, open it up, realizing that it has, like, this little tower contains a super nail gun. And also finding out that actually this tower has a hole on the other side, right? Hopefully feeling a little bit stupid about themselves, that actually they didn't have to do all the work of finding the key, and they could just run around and grab the nail gun. I don't think it worked for anyone. The streams that I watched, it didn't definitely work. No one really catch it, I think. No one even thought about it. For obvious reasons that I talked earlier about how, first of all, if you don't realize that this is a door, well, you completely miss the whole point, right? And for those players, one of the players, they found the key, opened the door, but they had zero reaction to this moment. And they was one of those players that I talked about, how like they just keep constantly moving around, not stopping at all. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I thought it was kind of on the nose, like a little bit on the nose, like this whole little setup. But I guess it is still very possible for the player just completely not register what's happening here. That was probably the toughest part for me to swallow, seeing people play this map. Did anyone find the hole before getting the key? Some players did, yes. And the problem is, even if you find the hole, because those players, they didn't realize that there was a door. So they just completely, again, they completely skipped the part that actually they avoided the gate, right? Because, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, if you didn't register that this is actual door that requires a key, and then you run around and then you find the hole, you didn't even try to, right, touch it. No, you're just like, oh, okay, all right. Found the super nail gun. Got it. So anyway, yeah, as we keep exploring, encounter this sci-fi base. Oh man, just look at this mess. I had no idea what to do with this. I just kind of slapped a bunch of boxes, and hopefully it's somehow vaguely pleasing to look at. Those players are probably surprised by the secret. Yeah, I am just... Yeah, this map doesn't have secrets. And it's like, just... In general, my maps don't have secrets. And I still haven't figured out kind of like how to feel about it. Because, like, in general, I don't really like this Quake approach to secrets, right? So, like, giving explicit message, right? On the screen to the player that when they discover the secret, like, hey! That's a secret. Congratulations. Just personally, I don't really like it. It's kind of like on the nose sort of notification and gratification or whatever. So I like personally try to avoid this. But again, it is. I can clearly see how some players who have expectations about Quake maps, right? For them, it will be just a bit like more annoying and maybe disappointing, but for others maybe it is actually quite relieving, right? For those people who have this completionist mindset and who try to get all the secrets, and when they don't get them, they just become super frustrated and annoyed. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe one day when I will make a more conventional Quake map, I'll make more conventional secrets. Here we get another weapon that we can get. So basically, one of the ideas for that map is the open space serves this kind of like exploration base, right? That the player can move through and find all the necessary weapons to prepare for the like main gameplay challenges. Well, the main gameplay challenges areas, right? They don't really feature any weapons or anything like this. So yeah, that was kind of like the idea for this map. The problem is that I guess the lesson that I learned from seeing some people play through it is that you should never underestimate how players' commitment, to the challenges that they face. So some players, for example, they didn't find any weapons. For example, some players just went in the opposite direction and went for a more relatively harder area. It's just shotgun and the nail gun. And they were clearly struggling in some encounters with these two basic weapons. And it was just kind of like, honestly, for me, it was kind of painful to watch. But they were very insistent. They were like very insistent on, after dying time and time again, they would just like keep bashing again and again their head against the challenge in front of them. And so this is kind of, I guess, you could say that maybe it's not necessarily a mistake on my part, but it's definitely a thing that I should have been more aware about, how players can be very committal to the challenges in front of them, instead of having the reaction that I would kind of expect, that them encountering something difficult, right, and dying a few times and then realizing that maybe they should keep explore more, find more weapons, stuff like that, and then come back. Eventually, for one player, that's what happened. Eventually, one player that tried to tackle like the final challenge of the map, they kept dying repeatedly, and at a certain point they actually stopped trying and started exploring and find more weapons, and then did the challenge. So it kind of worked, but it didn't work. I guess it wasn't as smooth as expected to be. You always say how much you like linear levels, but this is pretty... Yeah, basically, I am... With Quake maps, sometimes I basically try to, tap into territories that I don't have a lot of experience with. And in this case, it's basically me trying to tackle the more open structure, basically. Yeah, and you can, and it's I definitely have a lot to improve on, I would say, because lots of people reported being, just lost in this map, which kind of came to me a little bit of a surprise, since from sort of my feeling, this map is not that big, and I kind of saw that I left enough, landmarks for the player to like being able to kind of like orient themselves and remember particular areas. But I guess that's still not enough for some people, and admittedly, it's probably in many ways because of one of the core features of this map, right? It's basically sick fog that obscures your view quite considerably, especially in comparison, in contrast to your more conventional Quake maps. So it is, you can say there is like maybe a fundamental clash between the visual aesthetics of this map, right? This like obscured sick fog that envelops the player, and also the open structure, right? That of this level that kind of leads to creates a lot of opportunities for the player to still get lost, basically. Because you can see, right, the available, like the surroundings that you see actually, right, it's not much. You can see like very, very small portion of environment, right? So yeah, that's also something that I underestimated how this map can have a potential for people just kind of get lost. Anyway, so yeah, let's grab this plasma rifle. And my favorite way to do it is just kind of snatch it in front of everyone and kill them using this weapon. Also, I should probably put it here. And here, the idea that I like this texture. As the player receives and gets the plasma rifle and killed everyone, as they turned, right? Since there is no way to progress, it's a dead end. As they turn around, they see that actually there is a way to go up instead of just backtracking. And if you go up, there's a bunch of goodies for you to pick up. And this is how you get to the level where there's these grunts and enforcers were. I guess another thing just about the whole like org sort of aesthetics for this map. I really underestimated that how hard to see for some people. How hard it can be for some people to actually see in this map. Like one player, their initial reaction was when they entered like this area, they just set fog in the console command to 0. This is like the first thing that they did. This is how frustrating for them this fog was. Which, I mean, fair enough. Again, it is a very strong departure from your conventional visuals, right? In regard to, you know, more common approach in other Quake maps. But I guess it's something that I have to accept. It's that some people will be repelled strongly by this visual style, and yeah, you can't buy them all. Those are cool monsters. Yeah, I love those. I love the tentacle boys. There's unique characters, unique enemies for Arcane Dimensions. Also, I mentioned before how I like them visually, and I like their behavior, how they drastically change their pattern of behavior when they get to low health and switch from range attacks, like constantly, like relentlessly pursuing you and fight you in melee range. That's disrespectful. I mean, they switched back. I mean, after that, they like very quickly switched back to normal fog. I mean, I get it. I understand if you just launch this map and you're just like, yeah. Especially in some darker areas, like this. Why the water is? Weird. Why the water is glowing? So I fixed it. I think the glowing. Maybe it's my setup or something. Yeah, I wonder what it's because other people actually that played the map, they didn't have this issue. So it's probably on my end. Anyway. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what's the problem. I'm playing on the old version of Quake Spasm that doesn't feature the delete water. Okay, that makes sense. Is no fog? Does it look super dark? It looks like this basically. I think they've. Which, admittedly, it doesn't help much. Honestly, it still kind of looks cool, you know? You can see the wall better. You can see nice silhouettes on the field. Also, I'm not sure how do I... Oh no, that's... Oh. Oh yeah, okay, how do I... What was... Oh god, I don't remember what was my original... Okay, if I reload, will it help? I think it did. Yeah, removing fog doesn't help that much in this case. So maybe that's actually the reason they turned it back. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, here we are. Now we can enter this area. Again, honestly, it is... I think this texture is supposed to represent a door in the Macan texture set that I used for this. But again, I'm... Honestly, now that seeing some people just missing the gated doors, the locked doors, I'm not really sure how normal doors, you know, how clear they are that they're doors at this point. I'm just doubting myself, like everywhere at this point. Hopefully the light helps. Also, it was a little bit embarrassing, but one of the players noticed that I was a little bit lazy with the door setup, and looking by this texture, you can see that this is not how this door is supposed to open. Right? But you can see that actually this door, the texture implies that the door consists of two parts. Right? This part, like the bigger part, and the lower part. And they spotted it. And I was just like, man, oh yeah, well, no excuses here. So anyway, now we can enter this area. Pretend that the water looks good. The issue is these fishes, and that's unfortunately, I think the problem that I messed up with the setup. I removed the noises that they make while they're in idle spot, but I didn't remove the noises that they make when they spot the player. And so what happens, I don't know if you've noticed or not, when you come into this room, you can actually you can see them, but when the water is lit, it's not that visible. You can hear them actually aggroing you, and so most players, they immediately spotted that there are fishes in the water, and started shooting them. And you can see that this is like this is basically the first iteration, or like one of the first iterations of a blockout that I had. And I even talked about this, I remember, on stream, how like, yeah, I need to do something about if players spot the fishes, or like if they die in the encounter and respawn, right? And they try to shoot the fishes before. I didn't solve it. Basically, I didn't solve it. So it is completely possible to just shoot every fish. The funny thing is, despite shooting fishes and spotting them, lots of players still got ambushed by them when they jumped into the water. It just happened that a bunch of fishes still survive, right? Because there's actually a lot of them, and so they still get attacked. So in a funny way, the encounter still kind of plays out in a sort of in the intended way, which is kind of funny. Yeah. So they still got ambushed by the fishes, but just not in an ideal scenario. You wanted them to be secret fish? Yeah, I definitely didn't want for the players to spot the fish from the beginning, right? Like, remember how I talked about how when this water is lit, it kind of looks like a floor, right? So there's this visual ambiguity when you enter this area that it's not even clear at first whether it's water or it's just like a solid floor. And so I wanted this, I wanted to lean toward this ambiguity. But if you spot the fishes, well, there's no ambiguity. It's clear that this is water. There are fishes inside. So yeah, like this whole layout, it should be different, pretty much. And there's like such a first iteration that it's clearly doesn't work as I was kind of expecting, but yeah. But still, the whole, at least the whole ambush with the enforcers still works out pretty well. I think it's It's a bit messy, but works well enough. Wait, the plural for fish is just fish? Are you really? You just say fish instead of fishes? No, wait a second. Wait. I think I've heard people use the word fishies. Fishy. Or what? Maybe they were just using it as a joke and I didn't realize that. Or maybe they were also like they didn't know that that's not the plural for fish. People use it to sound cute. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, that's actually I appreciate for telling this because I was strongly certain that that's like the plural for fish is fishes. Okay, all right. Wait, so it's not ships? It's ships? It's not. Well, okay, whatever. Okay, so this is another thing that just this encounter, wow, just didn't work at all. So the idea was that the moment player enters this room, they see a bunch of guys, right? They see a key card, and the idea was that if the player slowly and cautiously approaches these guys, at some point they fall and get ambushed. Maybe they try to fight, maybe they try to escape. In this case, it's using this tunnel, right? Well, you can probably guess that for lots of players, and again, those players that just they move quickly, they move quickly, they shoot everything on sight, right? I guess you can kind of call it the trigger-happy type of a player. Well, for them, obviously, that didn't work at all, because the moment they opened the doors, they just started blasting, and I thought about it like during the work of this map. I don't remember if I talked about it on stream, but I definitely, in the like a more released and polished version of the map, I would definitely, this whole scenario should have been done a different way. But yeah, that's just that doesn't work really. Or you can, I think, safely expect for lots of Quake players, when they enter the room, just start shooting immediately, instead of like trying to be more cautious and in their approach to this area. So yeah, basically what happens that they kill most of the players that I saw. They just kill these guys. They don't necessarily spot the guys that are hidden, so they still sort of get ambushed, yeah, by these guys on the left and right. So the ambush still kind of happens, except talking about the kind of like the commitment, right, and stubbornness of the players. It's still very possible for the people to just also be very stubborn about killing these folks, instead of like trying to find like escape. Which kind of makes sense that these guys, like especially just these two guys, they don't really pose a lot of threat for you, right? They don't necessarily create this feeling of, oh man, I should just drop this and escape, rather than just like, okay, no, it's just two enforcers, I'm going to kill them, right? And then when the people kill those guys, they keep, exploring. So like the whole escape sequence is just. Also, you can hear other guys spawn. It doesn't really work for lots of people. Yeah. Thankfully, the whole underwater tunnel sequence wasn't that hard. For at least for the people that I saw, they kind of managed to navigate it quite quickly, and some of them didn't even run out of their oxygen, to my surprise. So yeah, And once you get back, remember the idea was that if you leave the guys, right, the initial ambush kind of party, if you leave them and try to escape, right, the idea is that you have this sort of a revenge moment, right, when you get behind them and can finally just, I also give you a bunch of rockets to kind of give the player an idea that, oh, maybe, you know, maybe you could just blast them with a grenade launcher or something like this, in a very satisfying kind of like way of killing them. Well, the issue is if you kill these guys before, and it doesn't really work, right? It's just all you see is just like a bunch of new enemies spawn for whatever reason. I mean, I think it still feels. First of all, it feels quite tense because you spawn so close to them, and one player, they were very silent. I remember like during this moment they were carefully picked up the key card, and then they carefully picked up the rockets, and then they blasted them. So in the end, it kind of works, sort of. Yeah, it's not a total failure, but it is kind of failure, but not a total. Yeah, that's my verdict. Also, the whole tension of being kind of like scared and anxious of not alerting these guys, right? I wanted to actually avoid this. Remember during the stream, I wanted to move this escape hole, basically, right, further away, so you didn't have that. But I didn't do this because I ran out of time, of course. And in the end, I think it kind of plays out all right. I think actually there's something to it. There is a weird, like, interesting, surprising, unintentional, like, stealth moment, right? When you're at least for some people, they're like cautiously trying to pick up stuff, not alerting these guys, and then kill them. Yeah. I would have shot them, honestly. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that it just, again, talking about like the immediate danger, right, that is present for you. Just two enforcers is just it's not right. It's not a amount of enemies, or like it's not a type of enemy that just for an average player, right, that just poses some kind of feeling of danger that they would try to be like more careful, right? It's just a bunch of enforcers, really. Maybe if it was a bunch of like oh my god, what's Shamblers? I forgot the name of the Shambler. Anyway, if it was a bunch of Shamblers, I assume maybe the players wouldn't be so trigger happy with their approach to this area, but yeah. The quick grenade sounds. I like collision sounds. I mean, the explosion is nice too, but I guess for me, it's all about collision. You know, how it bumps into each surface. That's probably the thing that I like the most. But anyway, this is the thing. Now we can exit, and here's a robot. And again, talking about the danger, right? That's just. I would also assume that. I assume that the players would be, again, more like the general assumption that I had for lots of encounters for this map. They just failed, basically. And basically this assumption of players like cautiously exploring the space available to them before engaging in combat. Because lots of players, the moment they saw this guy, and you would think, right, you think that the robot would pose more, create more, feeling of danger, since the robot is pretty tough, but no, lots of players just started shooting the robot the moment they saw them. And it's, I mean, the robot can't really enter this room, which I probably should have thought before. But it's also not the ideal way to fight it, right? It's just not the best way to engage this guy, I would say. But still. Oh, you're talking about the bounce sound. Okay. Yeah, the bounce sound is great. Here we go back to the open area. Here we have a bunch of enemies descending on us in a falling tower. People like this moment. From the reactions that I saw, that everyone liked the falling tower. Even any of those people who had, like, in general, like, negative experience with that map. Yeah, that's just not something that happens a lot in a Quake, right? The falling pieces of architecture with enemies jumping out of them. I wanted to do more of this, and you remember how I talked about, again, during the work streams, how I wanted to lean more toward this whole idea of falling pieces of building, right? To kind of like just enhance or like stress like the theme of this map, how all these like piles, right, of different buildings and blocks happened in the first place. There are a bunch of moments like this, but I feel like I should have leaned more toward that and added more of encounters like this. But it is tough. It is tough because you can see, like, you might not even actually notice it, but this tower is tilted just a little bit. Oh no, boy, it causes lots of issues, like a tilted tower that has enemies on it and items, and it's also moving. It's like descending very quickly. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the trench room, I guess, is I can definitely struggle with handling sit out like that. So anyway, we found the key. Now we can go back. Open this door if you realize that it's a door, and get the nail gun, or maybe just stumble upon it. Interesting thing about this. So it is like a mega medkit that grants you more health temporarily. And I kind of expected the players, assuming that the player knows what this is, being kind of looking at this and be like, do I want to use it now, or do I want to keep it and then come back? You know, kind of creating this like interesting decision moment. But actually, no. All the players that I saw, they picked it up immediately. They didn't even think about it, actually. They just like picked it up and like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So that was surprising. I don't know if all of them realized that this is like a mega medkit that gives you like extra health temporarily. I assume some of them at least knew what it is, but I don't. It's kind of it is an interesting moment. I like how the front of the falling tower looks like a face. Really? Oh yeah, it kind of does. Kind of like a kind of goofy monster, blocky, you know, Minecraft monster kind of face. Yeah, true. There is something to it. Let's say it was intentional too. Just to create this subconscious feeling of dread. Yeah, that would be a nice way to think about it. Oh god, just kill this guy. So just to think how some players they completely ignored, like they didn't try to. Also, when I say some players, I mean like one player. but yeah, some player or like one player, they just completely ignored the every zombie they encountered, even if it's just like a 1 or 2, they didn't try to use the upgraded axe at all. They just spent the grenade launcher. While another player that I saw, they were very deliberate about this. Like they were actually, when there were like a bunch of zombies left in the area, they were very careful, like at preserving the rockets and using upgrade launcher. Upgrade launcher, upgrade axe. But anyway, yeah, this is basically like a second part of the map that you can explore, run around. You can find this tower that has a locked door that requires a different key, the blue key. This is another point that some players, and by some players I mean another player, basically struggle with, is how it's not clear at all, right? The clarity that this is a door. Actually, it kind of looked like they didn't even realize that it might be a door. Now that I think about it, the texture, like this texture, might necessarily create an impression of a door, right? It just looks more like a wall, really. It has like an arch attached to it. But anyway, yeah, that also doesn't necessarily can be perceived as a door that, you know, locked by a specific key. First known red part of yeah, I was kind of hoping that like this great contrast, right, the blue light would really attract players' attention, but that's not the case. Like all the players that I saw, they were just kind of like ignoring it, really, and when they bumped into the door, they kind of bump into it. It kind of felt like just sort of automatic, you know, bumping that you do because that's, you know, that's what you expect to do. Why NPTX the zombies? Basically the thing is that this axe usually you don't have. Why not X zombies? I mean that's actually a good question if you think about it. Like you could expect players to be like very conservative, right? Because rockets are pretty valuable resource, and you would expect people like try to conserve as much as they can and just kill every zombie they encounter with an axe. But yeah, that's just, I guess, not really how some players operate, really, and for some players it's completely natural, just waste their whole arsenal, you know, on enemies that are just can be killed easily, like you can argue, like more optimal, right, more effective in a different way. People like crosses. Yeah, that's what is important. The result of this of this work, that the crosses look good. Anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of guys, and their range is a bit too far. The people that I saw, they didn't really fall into this. They didn't have this like frustrating moment of just being hit by a random arrow from far, but I assume that definitely can happen for some people. Yeah, but they attract your attention at the very least. These guys definitely attract your attention to this next, you know, significant gameplay, right? Yeah, those are crossbow enemies. Remember? Well, I guess I'll talk about the whole like idea, right, that I had before when I was working on this map, is to, you know, to have these like different districts, right, populated by different factions, like the sci-fi base and the medieval base. Well, I mean, it's hard to say, but like one player that I talked to actually and gave me like a very, very nice feedback, they didn't get it at all. Like they didn't even realize that there was like this theme of like two different factions kind of like occupying like different areas. They just completely skipped this part, which I mean kind of makes sense. That's not how you think about enemies in Quake, right? But I'll get to this point a little bit later when we get to the infighting moment. There's a pyramid. And this is basically another moment of a falling piece of tower. If this tower looks familiar to you, to the previous one, it's just coincidence. But anyway, yeah, we have basically the same idea of a falling piece of architecture, but with a little bit different setup, right? A bunch of enemies that get smushed, and there's also a rocket launcher inside. It is it's kind of like this setup is a little bit unsafe, since there's actually a way to die. You can, if you're one of those players who jump and move and run constantly, right? It is possible for these people accidentally just kind of get smashed by this building. It happened to one player in a very unfortunate way that I will talk a little bit later in detail. Anyway, yeah, here's another mega medkit. Now we can get inside. And this is another example. Again, it's like, yeah, it is just... It's kind of interesting, right? How you should be like, why playtesting is so important? External playtesting is important because it's just... a lot of the assumptions that you might have, right? That you assume natural and intuitive for other people, they can be completely false for a lot of people, right? In this case, again, that seems like a reasonable group of enemies, right? In terms of like danger. So you would think that like some people would try to be a bit more cautious, right, with the approach. Nope. The people that I saw playing this, the moment they saw them, the moment these guys appeared in their like line of sight, they just started shooting. They just started shooting without a second thought. Yeah, pretty much, and that's it. That's how for lots of people that I saw playing this, this is how it happened for them. So here we have a small kind of like a courtyard that you can explore. Talking about again the visual clarity of doors. Lots of people just completely skipped it. I didn't see anyone actually exploring this area, the optional area that you can access behind it. No one did this. Even those people who noticed it, I assume they just like forgot about it. It makes sense. Here we have another door that I absolutely should have lit up. I mean, it's kind of, you can see the light looking from inside, but yeah, it is just no one really spotted it. There is a door that is locked that can open from the other side. So here we have a second encounter with an ambush. The knights and an ogre and an elevation. This is just classy stuff, no less. Here's another guy. I like when I managed to do this, to jump over this projectiles of the Hell Knight. It just feels so satisfying. And to do this, and it's kind of like the idea here that force the player, since you can't easily fall from the bridge, right? If the guy starts shooting you, you're kind of forced, try to jump over it, kind of like forced to do the cool thing. So here, yeah, there is an opening that, and you can also see there's a pickup, a collectible. That I was hopeful that, you know, some people would notice it, this breadcrumb, and try to jump down and notice that there's actually a hole in the roof that they can access. There's actually this door that I can open now. There is these guys that protect a red armor that actually it's not clear that it's red armor because of the lighting. Now we can go to the red armor. Again, no one spotted it, no one noticed it. It's a bit unfortunate. I guess, I feel like I give enough opportunity to spot it for the player. And the issue might be that if you don't bump into the door and realize actually there's a door that you can't access, you didn't even register that it's like something that you can, you know, enter, right? There is like a building that you enter. Maybe, I don't know. It is kind of, it's like interesting topic how, you know, like for the players, so it's just like, again, like they're trigger happy, they move like a storm, you know, it's kind of through the map. How much thought they give, right, to the sort of their surroundings and stuff like that. I can definitely imagine for these type of players, they just completely, they just don't register at all that there is like this building actually can be accessible even. Surprisingly, people, like, I was kind of anxious about it just a little bit about this climb, right? How there's like, it's very dark. How like some people might struggle. But at least people that I watched, they managed to get up relatively without issues. And here we have a spot that two players that I saw, they played it completely in a way that I didn't expect them to do it. And now I kind of like in hindsight, I realized like, yeah, this... So the idea is that you need to move, right? Further. You can see a medkit you can pick up. And there's a platform. Let's pretend it's not here. But this is the way we should go, right? It's the way we should go. This like very narrow edge. It's a move. We get ambushed by these guys. Kill them, and now we can progress further. Yeah, this part is especially dark. And now we can continue. Well, actually, this pass on the left, now that I look at this, it's just almost invisible, right? If you look at it, it doesn't even look like there is a path at all. It kind of looks like the pass ends right here, right? This is the end of the pass. And on the other hand, you have like much more attractive option is the health, right? It's a medkit. And so what the players that I saw playing, they picked up the medkit. Then there is a platform that was completely only for enemies, right? It's like the only purpose of this platform is for the enemy to spawn on it, right? In ambushes. Well, it doesn't really look like it, right? It kind of looks like it. Well, you can access it, and maybe you should jump on it. Well, actually, it's a bit tricky. But if you do it... Actually, let me just go around another way. Well, if you do it, now you ended up kind of in an awkward spot because, well, there's nothing to do. And you can try to jump here. You can jump on this platform, right? Which is also the only function of is just, you know, keep a bunch of enemies to spawn on it, right? So that's just like the whole sequence can fall apart quite easily. And for the player that I talked about earlier that got smooshed, well, you can actually just try to you can rocket jump from this platform to this platform. Right, so let's pretend I did this masterfully. And then you can try like to jump here, for example. And then what they did, they jumped right into the spot. They killed like the knights, I think, all these enemies here, and they jumped right here and got smooshed by the building. That was quite embarrassing, and I did not expect that to happen at all. So yeah, like this whole thing, and another. Why did I save here? Another thing is that if you fall, and it's like, I guess like another just like inherent like difficulty of this vertical layout, right? If the player falls during their navigation, like the whole backtracking process is it can be super annoying and frustrating, right? Which I almost got stuck. Wow. Which I kind of expected not to be that big of a trouble, since it's not really, there's not much of a platforming, right? Also, definitely should have made an easier pass to this plank. We call that a mixture game. Yeah, that's one way to call it for sure. Also, another thing, by the way, what another player did that I completely did not expect, because rocket jump is not the thing that I really keep in my mind, but if you have a rocket launcher, you can do, you can just jump from this plank to this plank and completely skip the whole encounter. This is basically what happened to one player. They were confused and they didn't know where to go, because they didn't notice this pass, of course, because it's not fucking visible, you fucking idiot. And they basically used this rocket jump to get, to progress. Yeah, that's I guess that's also an example of a nice unexpected emergent gameplay. That you can do some really fancy rocket jumps in order to progress. Yeah, let's pretend it was also intentional. Also here it's just like an example of me being just forgetting and not noticing like spots where you just can get outside of the game area. You can actually just do this, right? You can jump here, and you can jump right here, and now you're stuck because you escaped. You entered the area you're not supposed to be. That's what happened to another person. Yeah, that was a little painful to watch. So anyway, here we have a next encounter on the roof with a bunch of gargoyles. Lots of players, when they spotted the first gargoyle, they started shooting it. Which was expected. And so, I don't know, people did have lots of reactions to the first wave of gargoyles, kind of like actually attacking you from above. Hopefully there was some element of surprise to it. But anyway, yeah, here we have a gargoyle fight on the roof of a cathedral. Actually, and that has just a little twist to it that I talked again on the stream before. Actually, you can see gaps, and it's very, very embarrassing. Of telegraphing clearly to the player that what this encounter will be about, right? But not immediately spawning these guys on the pillars, and actually spawn the first wave just above the player. For a little surprise. I was kind of like a bit unsure if spawning directly, like gargoyles directly above the player, can create some frustrating moments of getting hit, right? without realizing where the enemies are attacking you from. But that, at least for the people that I saw that just didn't have it, they almost immediately realized where the threat is. And yeah, didn't have really issues about understanding where to shoot, where to fight. So yeah, here we have basically the whole sequence starts with a nail piercer, I believe it's called. It's like a unique like upgrade for Arcane Dimension that basically it's literally in the name. It allows you to shoot pierce through enemies with your nail gun, or super nail gun. Which in this case I didn't really use it in a conventional way, which one player was a little bit puzzled by it. Like, since the conventional way to be like just to spawn lots of enemies, right? Like a group of enemies that you could kill quickly, right? Using that are grouped together, and you can kill them quickly while the nail piercer is active. That's not really the case, right? You can't really like shoot several gargoyles at the same time to get like the full use of this upgrade. But yeah, I'll honestly, I didn't really think much of it. I was a bit uncertain about the difficulty about this encounter, and so I decided just to give a nail piercer because it's just it makes it quite easy to deal with enemies, right? But it's still hopefully the encounter getting somewhat challenging. At least in regard to like avoiding all those projectiles from all these enemies. But another thing is that you can do, and actually 2 players did it. One actually did quite consciously, because you can kill the gargoyles, and when you kill the gargoyles and you fall down, you can dispatch this like next wave group of enemies with nail piercer very quickly, actually, if you're fast enough. So there's that. And one player actually, they jumped down when the nail piercer ran off, and they tried to fight the guys, and I think they died or something. I think they died, and then they actually thought about like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I could like, if I kill the gargoyles quickly, I can have the nail piercer while I'm engaging these guys. So let's just do this basically. Let's get in and just. Oh, I actually ran out of nails. Okay, that's well, let's have a normal fight then. These enemies. So remember me talking about how I wanted like to have like all the areas tilted, right? That was the Cathedral. The Cathedral was one of those areas that I wanted to do, right? I remember how on the stream, when I worked on the map, when I did tilted the Cathedral, and how nice it looked, like the this area with that. Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work out at all. With the full whiz, it's like I think that like this wall was just completely invisible, unfortunately. Well, this is the Cathedral. And then once we clear it, we get the final key and progress. I can progress further. The thing that I decided to do for the players who try to venture into the sea is what I did. Oh, there are fishes, first of all. No, they're not really a threat. They're more of a flavor. But the real gatekeepers is lots of wars. They just start attacking you. And well, you don't really have an option to escape that, and kind of. So that worked at least. Even players who like would try to very quick traverse this the sea, they still got got killed quite quickly. So the wars worked. The thing that is a bit embarrassing, actually, that I forgot about, and it's a bit harder to justify in comparison to the previous instance of that, is if you actually fast enough and you fight these guys, you can actually see that, yeah, the pillars have, I forgot to replace the checker texture on the pillars. And one player, they reported me to this, like, hey, you know, I have oh, building fell from the skies, how convenient. One player actually like reported to me this particular instance, or like pillars having like a checker texture. Like, hey buddy, you know, I noticed that they're like those pillars, they have a checker texture, and I think that's not how it's supposed to be. But that was quite a... Did anyone complain not being able to get 100 kills because of those floors? I haven't seen anyone complaining about it. What I did, and I also did that for zombies, is I basically, I think it's vanilla feature. I'm not sure if it's like, I think it's vanilla feature actually. But what you can do is you can exclude enemies from a monster count, right? That appears in the end of when you finish the map. So you don't have to kill them, and you don't have to kill all the zombies in order like to get full enemy kill list. So here's the thing, right? When you get the gold key, sorry, the silver key, and when you come back, there is basically a shortcut appears to you. Well, because I was kind of like, I was uncertain. I really didn't like about the whole idea of you like kind of backtracking, but so I kind of like decided to add this falling building shortcut, very toward the end, you know, like almost like before the submission of the map, to give a player like an opportunity to just like quickly to get to the locked gate. Well, I messed up. There are a bunch of issues here that I remember thinking about it, like, oh man, I should be very careful about this, and I completely forgot about it. To do the thing, to make the shortcut work properly. So the thing is, remember in the beginning, right? This is our first gate that requires the gold key, right? So we get inside. Completely normal, unassuming room. And suddenly at a certain point, text appears and the lights go out. But yeah, here we have basically an ambush encounter that basically kind of like a boss fight, right? And in this case, a boss literally gives you like a small speech, right, before they ambush you. So by default, this guy is... I like this encounter a lot on a high level. But what I did is that I buffed this guy. I buffed his health because by default he's kind of squishy. It's very easy to kill him. Also, when you kill him, he gives you like kind of like a compliment. Yeah, not bad at all. And yeah, so when you kill him, he gives you a little nice speech, complimentary speech, and the door's open. So first of all, it is actually pretty tough for one player that I saw playing through this. It was really quite challenging. because they were the way they approached this guy. They tried to be like very precise with their shots, right? Because this guy, he has like a temporal shield that it temporarily appears from time to time, right? And so they try to like time their hits. And well, that's actually like very inefficient way to fight him. And for they basically didn't work out for them and they died. And I think in hindsight that I buffed him a little bit too much. That for some people this guy can be a bit too frustrating. Yeah, but another thing is just that is super embarrassing that actually this door is not locked. you can just exit the room while this guy's like, oh yeah, giving his who is this? A savage walking with a sword? Like, it doesn't matter. you can exit the room while he's talking to you, and completely skip the whole thing. Does the timing shots make any different? I don't know actually. Because the way you saw the way I fight him, right? I just shoot him. I don't really care about the timings. Yeah, I know it's I'm not really sure how this guy works actually. So yeah, I definitely should have buffed him. And it's so embarrassing because I remember clearly that I think I locked this door. I locked it. But apparently I didn't actually. Apparently I didn't. And you can just escape. Yeah. Also, this armor, right? That you there's this moment right at the start. This is where you spawn. There's like the little tease moment with the armor that you can't reach yet, right? That you can reach when you get up. Oh, I'm back here. Sorry, buddy. No, I can't. On the door. I mean, there is something to the fact that you can like ultimately disrespect him. You know, it's just like, yeah, I'm not listening to you. I just escape. No, just exit basically. Yeah, there is something to it. But anyway, yeah, this armor is actually it's very easy to miss because I rotated the tower a little bit, right? And because of the rotation, the armor became just I'm basically fucked up, right? You can completely skip this armor, not notice it. This is the armor that you saw first, and grab it. So the second problem. So one of the ways you can go, right? You can fight the guy that you can actually not fight at all, then go up and get to this second gate, right? That got a silver key. And then if you don't have a silver key, you go down this way, right? And when you find the silver key, you go back, and conveniently this building falls from the sky. The problem is, if you go for the silver key first, this building, I remember thinking about it. I should make sure that it's not supposed to fall if the player doesn't have a gold key. Well, guess what? I forgot I forgot to do this. And you can basically get the silver key, get here, get the falling building, and just climb it and get to this door, completely skipping the boss fight, quote unquote boss fight. And this is what happened to another player. They completely skipped this encounter that I liked so much. I actually wanted players to experience. Yeah, you just there are multiple ways to skip him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe in the end, it's kind of it's sort of a good thing since he can be very tough for some people. Speedrun strats, yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny. It's like it's sort of this kind of like this happy accidents, territory that we're in, That it's on one hand that is just it's very unfortunate, it's very embarrassing that I I basically messed up the setup, right? I forgot to make do scripting properly, and because of that, you can literally skip in multiple ways certain like difficult encounters. But actually, maybe it's not completely a bad thing. But yeah, you can do this, and here, yeah, you can. This is the final sequence with a rising elevator that you're stuck on, that you have to fight enemies that attack you from the other platforms. Pretty challenging encounter from what I've seen, especially like for the player that skipped the boss fight, right? And kind of quote unquote rushed. That wasn't. I don't think that was the intention. They rushed the silver key. Basically, they entered this final encounter is a normal shotgun, a nail gun, and I think they just had also just a super nail gun. That's it. It was like their arsenal, and it's just these weapons. Yeah, it is pretty tough encounter, and this is what kind of like one of the examples that I talked before about, like the players kind of like stubbornness, right? That players can be very stubborn, very committal, to the challenges in front of them. Like the player that entered this encounter is very poor, like very weak arsenal of weapons. They died a lot until they finally decided, actually, maybe I should explore the level more for more powerful weapons. Yeah, so actually this is I completely forgot the person who made this map. I actually forgot that there are a bunch of areas that I didn't explore, but I can explore now with the silver key. Which kind of makes me think that I saw this map like is not in terms of scale, that it's not that big, but maybe actually it should be like as such with such sort of like an open structure. It's maybe it should be even smaller, basically. But this is basically too big for the player to like being able to keep the. Oh yeah, there's a guy that ambushes you. I forgot to ask him when you pick up the railgun. But yeah, anyway, this is where you can come back. Use the silver key and grab the railgun. And here we have another area that we can access now that I don't think again anyone found out about. This secret room. There's a triple barrel boomstick, I think it's called. It's a very, very funky name, I like it. And here we have like a fight with a wizard that teleports all around the place. Yeah, and then oh my god, what's it called? Painville. Yeah, a Painville, inspired basically area. The Dark Souls boss, basically. Yeah, and I guess it is a bit unfortunate. I mean, it is an optional secret area by design, but I wish I telegraphed it a bit more. I wish I made it a bit more obvious, or a bit easier, to backtrack to for the player, since you do have to. There's also a bunch of text you can read. Yeah. You need to do some considerable backtracking, right? From the spot that you acquire the key, right? You really need to keep in mind and keep you in memory this particular door, which is it's definitely a lot. You're asking a lot from the player if you want them to keep that in mind, that particular door. Yeah, a very cool room that, yeah, I wonder how many people spotted it. Very, very small percentage, probably. I mean, maybe there is something to it. Maybe there is a... kind of adds to the value of the secret, you know. That when you find it out and you realize that, yeah, it's probably not a lot of people find it. So it kind of makes you feel better about about finding it. So not necessarily, I think, a bad area, but yeah, personally, I would probably try to telegraph it a little bit better. So now, when we reach the peak of the tower, you get this infighting scene that people liked. Basically, all the people that I saw playing, they like this infighting thing. A robot being bullied by a bunch of knights and crossbow guys. This is basically kind of like a scene that I talked about before, the whole different factions, right, occupying this area. I wanted to do a bunch of scenes where there's like infighting based, faction based infighting, basically, right? Two factions fighting each other. And as far as I understand, Arcane Dimension doesn't really support that. You can't really do this like a proper kind of like giving one enemy a command like to attack other enemies constantly, right, from the different team. You can't do that, unfortunately. So a bunch of scenes that I had in my mind, they didn't work out, and the only sort of iteration of that idea that sort of works, I think, is a bunch of enemies attacking one enemy. That, I think, works more or less well, right? In this case, it's like one big robot kind of getting attacked by a swarm of guys. The unfortunate thing is that, as from what I've seen, and from like talking literally to one of the players, that no one really got the whole, again, faction thing. No one really spotted it, no one really noticed it, no one really realized that it was a thing. Basically, it was just, for most people, I assume it was just like a nice scene of infighting, basically. That is not very common, right, in Quick. And I assume not very common in many ways because it's not very easy to set up like a proper infighting. Yeah, I kind of wish that I could lean more toward the whole like infighting and do more scenes with infighting. But yeah, this is like the only encounter that made the cut. Also, this entrance, like the whole intro to this whole intro is very unsafe. It's very easy for the player to trigger, right, the whole event and just don't even notice it. So yeah, this is like basically the first, I think, one of the first iterations, the layout. So in a more normal and polished version, the intro should be done a bit differently. I feel like that infighting scene would have been cool right at the start of the map and the player still has... Yeah, I agree. It could be... Yeah, definitely... Yeah, probably it would be better to showcase some infighting at the beginning. And then maybe like repeat it several times, like including like toward the end. And also, yeah, because if you don't have lots of weapons, right, you don't have like a good arsenal of weapons, it might incentivize the player, right, to like immediately jump into the fight instead of like sort of engage into this like more cautious, right, and observant kind of behavior that I really hope that lots of players would do, but that's not really an intuitive behavior for, at least for some people. And here we have a bunch of guys. They are here to be mercilessly killed by you. And yeah, here we finally enter the wall. I kinda wished to make more emphasis on the wall, you know, on the whole idea of breaching and finding a way into the wall. But I think it didn't work out at all. In many ways, because first, it's actually, the wall is not very well visible, right? Because of the fog, how thick fog is. As most players don't even realize there's like a big wall structure actually present in the map. And also, I guess another problem that it's like, because how open structured the level is, I don't really direct player like very kind of like in a forceful and linear fashion that yeah, this is a wall, you need to find a way inside of it, you know. So yeah, which is maybe not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, in an ideal scenario, an ideal world, I would try to make like the whole theme of entering the big wall structure kind of more prominent and explicit for the player. But yeah, here we have a title drop, little vista sort of, and I have no idea what is the enemies that I did kill. I think I killed everyone, right? Zombies don't count, wars don't count, fishes don't count. I don't know. How long it take people to beat the map? Around 20 to 30 minutes. Which is, it didn't, at least from the people's perspective, I didn't see like anyone like explicitly being annoyed at it in regard to like its length. People were annoyed at some people were annoyed and disliked the difficulty and, basically the difficulty of navigating, right? The whole space, the level, figure out where you are. But the lengths, yeah, I expected this level to be, that the people would complete it in a shorter time, more like in 15 minutes maybe. But I guess the 20-30 minutes wasn't that big of a problem for people. So yeah, that was a map. Probably like, again, my messiest map so far. It's like all over the place. In a weird way, it's even messier than Approach of the Second Sun. It's just funny because Approach of the Second Map of the Second Sun is just, I think it's twice as bigger than this map actually. But even people that dislike the level overall, they still like the ideas behind the encounters, and some people actually like this level a lot. The player that I talked to, they liked this map, gameplay wise, surprisingly gameplay wise, not visual wise, but gameplay wise, it was like a favorite map, which was kind of expected for me. But yeah, that's there are definitely a bunch of ideas that I explored, and I think they're pretty cool ideas. They can work even better in a more normal and like non-jam, polished kind of context, where I don't have to just rush everything in the last moment and stuff like that. So yeah, that was another, I guess, like a nice and very useful, for me at least, attempt at making a more open structured maps. Definitely got a lot learned a lot of quite important lessons from that one. And in the end, I'm happy that some people enjoyed it. If not all of it, at least some part of it. I plan on facing it and it up and being making a final version. I'm thinking about this because actually there are a bunch of maps. Like, I guess there are a bunch of jam maps that I did before. Approach of the Second Sun is another one that I kind of like. I received a lot of like very like positive feedback, and that really makes me want. And I guess I like the on high level what the map is about and encounters. That makes me wish to just really make it into like a full, polished experience. But knowing me, it will take me months to do this. So I don't know. There is a desire for sure. There is a desire. There is a wish to do something like this. But we'll see. Maybe one day I'll try to do something polished and proper, out of these jump maps. But yeah, anyway, it took me almost 2 hours to just cover my map, and I'm already kind of exhausted actually. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll finish other maps next time. I'll try to be quicker about it. It is so many stuff that I kind of want to play. There's a Quake 2, right? That came out again kind of out of nowhere, sort of. There's like all sorts of upgrades, all sorts of additions and new maps, like new episodes. There is a head-on. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I was actually in the middle of playing head-on, right? The second episode. And there are a bunch of indie games that I want to move through. Oh boy, I really kind of fell behind. I feel like, especially considering that I'm not sure if I'll be able to stream like twice a week. Moving, from this like point, since Space Marine 2 is getting close to release, which means an increased workload. Yeah, we'll see. I don't. Next time, I guess I'll play more maps. Try to finish this jam properly. I'll try to be quicker about it. Is it Thursday? Oh man, it's so. Oh my god, it's also Baldur's Gate. Man, the fucking Baldur's Gate. It's just so addictive. It's so addictive. God damn it. How close is the release? Well, the official date wasn't announced, but what was announced is that the release is this winter. Which is pretty close. Winter is pretty close. I could stream Baldur's Gate. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to. I'm not sure about like streaming games with a level designer, right? That is just not. I am not directly familiar with. Like in this case, like this top-down, right? RPG level design, basically. The problem is that there are a lot of things that I need to play through, right? Like the add-on again, the Quake 2 I kind of want to tap into because I didn't play actually Quake 2. I didn't play the original, so I kind of want to check out the updated version. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. So yeah, that was. Oh, did you play the original? Do you want to play the updated version? Oh boy, man. Played it, but only halfway through. I've seen just positive impressions all over the place, even from people who didn't have like a high opinion about Quake, the original one. I've seen only praise, even if it's just a moderate praise. It was only praise, pretty much. So I'm kind of intrigued, and it's a little bit sad because I mean I guess I can play the original Quake too, but I just don't want to. So I never will be able to kind of have this experience of comparing, right, the original to updated version and have like a better understanding, right, of the better appreciation maybe of the new release. But anyway, yeah, that's it from me for today. That was the map. Yeah, bless this mess. That's how I feel about it. I'll see you next Tuesday for sure. I don't know about Saturday. I just feel like the Baldur's Gate will consume me. But it will be. I will see you surely on Tuesday at least. That's a promise. Yeah, GG for today, I guess. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. And thanks Zombie for coming, for stopping by, and thanks to anyone who watched the VOD. Hopefully that was interesting. Like the whole, process of me like making a map and then like playing it and like contemplating how it turned out to be. Yeah, have a nice rest of your day or your night. Stay safe. See you next time. Bye.